Hello everyone, my name is Jack, and today we have looked into the story of a great escape made by four men, John Anglin, Clarence Anglin, Frank Morris, and Alan West. First, before we get started, let's go through the main suspects. John Anglin, Clarence Anglin, Alan West, and Frank Morris. According to BuzzFeed, John Anglin, Clarence Anglin, and Frank Morris were in their early 30s when they escaped. They were all convicted of robbing banks. Another inmate named Alan West was the mastermind behind this operation and got the men in cells all next to each other. At night, they used the vents to get into the shafts and make their way up to the roof. Before doing that, though, they made painted dummy heads with real human hair and some soap as well as other things. They wanted a head start. Clarence worked as a barber at the prison to collect hair. After they got up to the roof, they climbed down the roof into the outside of the prison and made it to the shore. After that, they made a raft using roughly 50 raincoats and left the shores of Alcatraz Island. Unfortunately, Alan West did not make it through his vent as it was too small of a hole and he could not fit.
America tried to take away our culture and history, but the American Indian movement still lives on. Our brothers and sisters took Alcatraz because we had the right to, and we may have not wanted to be on the island. However, we continued to fight for what we believed in. We had the motivation to leave the island and get our freedom, just like the three men who escaped from Alcatraz. Native Americans deserve more. Be a part of our journey and help us. For more information, contact the American Indian Movement. Thank you everyone for listening to that ad break. Time to get into the vents. The first of the two theories of this case is that the three men survived. According to The Guardian, multiple swimmers were able to swim from Alcatraz shore to the coast of San Francisco. Another piece of evidence, according to BuzzFeed, the dead bodies of the men were never found. Dead bodies in the San Francisco Bay usually float after a few days. The escapees could have survived for a minimum of 2.5 hours if the boat happened to sink. They left their right window to survive. In 2015, a possible photo of the brothers was found in Brazil. According to WBTV, letter supposedly from John Anglin says that he, his brother Clarence, and Frank Morris all survived, but barely.
Now, on to the science of our theory. The reason that the three men survived is because June can see of some of the lowest tides, which can help the men to either raft or swim the distance, and the temperature could keep them alive. Here is a tide map of the area. According to our statistics, the men drifted towards Angel Island, but then before they made it, drifted west towards the Golden Gate Bridge. Then, they could have drifted back east and north into Horseshoe Bay. It is also confirmed from our statistics that the men were going towards Angel Island originally, however, they may have gotten washed up due to the currents pushing them towards the Golden Gate Bridge. Our statistics also show the water temperature was also between 50 Fahrenheit and 60 Fahrenheit, which could keep up survival for a couple of hours. If they have to swim, swimmers can swim the distance in less than 2 hours. After all, they could have survived because the water currents were not strong enough to blow them into the open sea, and if the boat sank, they would have swam to shore.
Next, let's talk about the boat. The three men made a boat of around 50 raincoats. They used waterproof type glue and used the heat of the pipes to make it cool down and solidify. We recreated the raft using rubber cement glue and one raincoat. The coat was able to hold 13 pounds. If one raincoat was able to hold 13 pounds, then using the math, 13 times 50, the raft would be able to hold an amount above 550 pounds. John Anglin weighed 140 pounds. His brother, Clarence Anglin, weighed 168 pounds, and Frank Morris, who weighed 215 pounds. Add all that up, and the total weight is around 530 pounds. A paddle and a bag full of the brothers' stuff was found on Angel Island. They would have dumped stuff off to lose weight and not sink. According to the Mythbusters, the raft size was a 14-foot long and 6-foot wide isosceles triangle. Every 10 minutes, someone had to add more air while the others were paddling. They couldn't have stayed afloat in the boat.
The second of the two theories is that the men didn't survive. According to BuzzFeed, their boat didn't have a rudder, so they couldn't control where it went. It was up to the tides to bring them to shore. However, they could keep inflating the raft, and they had a paddle to keep moving. Another piece of evidence from BuzzFeed says that they were planning to rob cars and houses to stay alive and leave the area. No robberies were reported after the crime. However, this can also be disproved because considering that they just broke out one of the most secure prisons ever in America, they would want to lay low and not show their faces in public. That is common sense. Therefore, the three men that escaped from Alcatraz did in fact survive.